So there I was, no shit, reading Fantastic Four number 25 this past week from Ryan North. And I'm reading it. I'm like, this is going to a really weird place. Is Johnny really falling in love with this alien? Which isn't like the most un-Fantastic Four or un-Johnny Storm thing in the history of the world. He's fallen in love with lots of aliens. But there's something different about this alien that made the story not funny, not interesting, but just really, really strange. And I do remember at one point, like kind of just going numb to the comic book, like halfway through it being like, oh my God, like what is going on here? And as one viewer of the channel termed it, we got a scene of xenobestiality going on in the comic book. And I thought maybe Ryan North has gone a little bit too far. I didn't think anyone else would notice. I don't think a lot of people are reading this, but apparently other people did notice. And I want to get to the bottom of it. Did Johnny Storm really bang a centipede in Fantastic Four 25? Did we really get xenobestiality in the pages of Ryan North's Fantastic Four? And I will preface it up front. His Fantastic Four run has been about 1 billion times better than I ever could have imagined it to be. But I did imagine it to be maybe the worst Fantastic Four run of all times, and it's not nearly as bad as like even Dan Slott's recent run. It's been better than that. It's a bunch of one-shots. Ryan North isn't very like smart, but he does think he's funny, so it's more focusing on humor. And for the most part, I've kind of liked his interpretation of Johnny Storm, to where he's like Uncle Johnny, the bad uncle, the debaucherous uncle that's a bad influence sometimes on the kids. The look of Johnny, the goatee, or I guess it's actually like a horseshoe mustache, does look specifically terrible on the character, but otherwise I've kind of liked Johnny until issue number 25. And apparently there are different interpretations of this comic book. I will provide those to you, and how people are acting like it's amazing and some people are acting like it's the worst thing ever, and then I'll give you my opinion. But this is how Superhero Hype frames the relationship in Fantastic Four. Seemingly stranded on an alien world, the Fantastic Four befriends the life forms living there. They begin a culture exchange while constructing a rocket to get them back to Earth. Johnny Storm exchanges more than culture with one of the aliens named Angelica. The two quickly fall in love. Their romance takes a tragic turn, however, when Reed Richards realizes the Fantastic Four traveled in time as well as space, while Mr. Fantastic is able to return the team home. Doing so will doom Angelica and her people. Naturally, Reed Richards thinks of a way to save both Earths by grafting the new reality into the multiverse. Unfortunately, to secure both worlds, the two variants can never interact. This means that Angelica and Johnny must be separated to save their respective Earths. And you read that, you're like, holy shit, that's like Shakespeare, man. We're talking Romeo and Juliet stuff, like doomed love from the very beginning. They want to be together. They're tragically in love, but they're pulled apart by their two houses, or the whole fabric of reality will fall apart. My goodness, Ryan North, you just melded one of the greatest playwrights of all time, one of the greatest writers of all time, in with the awesome sci-fi-ness of the Fantastic Four and Marvel Comics. And I do think Superhero Hype were waxing a little too poetic about the moment, because it really was just kind of icky when you were reading it. Like I said, I went numb to the comic book. I was like, you got to be messing with me, you know, because we've seen Johnny with aliens before, but humanoid aliens. You know, maybe they have a different skin color, maybe they've got a tail or something like that, but they're basically humans. You don't really see a lot of bug fucking going on within Johnny Storm and Fantastic Four. You don't even really see that really in like Star Trek, and certainly Captain Kirk and Jean-Luc Picard, and there are others out there in the Star Trek universe that have been very amorous when it comes to the alien folk out there. But normally, they're not going out there and banging earthworms or centipedes or just like blobs of goo that are out there in the universe. So I don't go as far as to romanticize the relationship between Johnny and Angelica that Superhero Hype do, which I think was a skosh too far in categorizing what was going on there. Now let's take a different reaction that might not have enjoyed this quite as much as those guys. This is That Park Place, and this is pretty funny. As Marvel Studios films their upcoming live-action Fantastic Four movie, Marvel Comics is busy destroying the company's brand by depicting Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch, in a sexual relationship with a demonic-looking alien bug creature. The two apparently fall for each other while Sue Storm compares and contrasts the anatomy of humans to demonic bug-like creatures. Eventually, Angelica of the Shore asks Storm if she can kiss him. Storm responds, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't thinking of asking you the same thing, but how do we, the comic then depicts Storm over top of the alien. In the next panel, the camera is just looking at a ball of light that Storm created hovering over the top of them, with the alien exclaiming, "Oh, Johnny!" This appears to be another piece of evidence that Marvel will go to its grave embracing degeneracy. In fact, it's not out of the realm of possibility that this comic will get some kind of live-action adaptation in the future if Marvel continues the course it has set itself on. Now, you can see that Park Place wasn't quite so moved by the romance between Johnny and Angelica, the enormous centipede worm creature thingy, certainly not humanoid. And yes, I do think we can confirm on that panel with the "Oh, Johnny" moment that yes, in fact, Johnny Storm is a bug fucker. He banged a centipede in the pages of Fantastic Four 25. The only thing that would have made it better maybe was like, "Oh, Johnny, you magnificent beast." But I think we got the picture of what writer Ryan North was going for there. Now, I don't think we'll ever see this live action adaptation ever in a movie or anything like that, because this is, quite frankly, a really bad creative. This is something that probably should have been caught by editorial and be like, hey, maybe we could have some type of whirlwind romance, you know, that's very tragic, you know, kind of like Romeo and Juliet. But let's actually make her something that Johnny would want to bang. Let's not make it a bug, because it is pretty gross. Like, can you imagine? You're sitting there and you walk around the corner and there's your Uncle Johnny, whatever your uncle's name is, and you're like, listen here, bug fucker. You don't get off of Angelica, I'm gonna kill you, man. You cannot be banging fucking bugs on my roof or in my living room or in my bathroom or anything like that. Because it's just weird, man. Like, it's like there's weird for the sake of funny. Like, there's weird for the sake of compelling. And then there's weird for the sake of being so weird that it actually turns people off, and they look at it and they go, why would they have ever done this to begin with? Who actually thought having Johnny Storm bang an enormous centipede would be compelling stuff? And this is the kind of stuff that just really turns you off to Marvel Comics. And this is the kind of stuff that made me think Ryan North would be a terrible pick for Fantastic Four, because he's not funny, he's not scientific, and he's going to have to make up for it with just really weird stuff. My personal favorite part of the book isn't when Johnny is laying the fucking bug lady and she's screaming, "Oh, Johnny," in ecstasy. It's actually Johnny's response when he learns that the two worlds might not make it. And then he actually learns that they're going to make it, but he'll never be able to see Angelica, the human centipede lady, ever again. This stuff was so far beyond tragic, it needed to be talked about. Johnny, with tears in his eyes, apparently there's zero gravity because they're flying upwards. Why does it always have to be me? You all get to love, you know. You get to have a family. But when I finally meet Angelica, and it's real, man, and I'm not screwing it all up for once, I get this. Everyone else gets to be happily ever after, and I. And then she puts not her finger, but I don't know if it's a tentacle or whatever she puts up to soften the blow on old Johnny. For weeks, for months, we got our happily ever after. We got to live it, man. Johnny, our impossible love. Don't you see? We got to remember that for the rest of our lives, most people's love, most people's relationships, they only save them. But ours is going to save everyone. And we got to do it our way, Johnny. We got to do it the human centipede banging way. It was so bad to see Johnny like that. And like I said, generally speaking, I've liked most of what Ryan North has done with Johnny, but we're talking about hitting new lows. And even if you've had a good run, and Ryan North's Fantastic Four is not good, it's just good enough to not be terrible. Like, there are some highs and there are a lot of lows, but this is the lowest of the lows. When people talk about that Fantastic Four run from Ryan North that everyone forgot, they go, is that the one? where Johnny laid a bug. Like, yes, that would be the one. And that's all they remember. And they don't remember the noir story and a couple of other things that Ryan North has done well there. But the over-the-top drama there with Johnny is like, you know, I had Liza and it didn't work out. I had my scroll. I banged all these aliens and I screwed it up. And I betted all these human women. I screwed it up. But I finally found the bug of my life. And I didn't screw it up, man. And it's still taken away. What a tragedy. And you're supposed to feel bad for the character. And I feel bad for the character. Not because he lost Angelica, but because Ryan North did this with the character. And you know when they do like the top 15 weirdest things that ever happened in Fantastic Four in like 20 years? Johnny Storm fucking a centipede is like number one. You're like, they really did that? And then I'm talking to my kid. I'm like, yeah, they really did it. Your dad even made a video about it, about how weird it was. And that shit happened. You know, I got nothing nice to say about it. How's this? This is the nice thing I'll say. He tried. He did not succeed in making this thing even remotely good. This makes what Dennis Camp is doing in the Ultimate seem pretty subtle. You know what I mean? Maybe not so weird with the Ultimate monstrosities and the it's my negative zone bad moments. Like, those are better than this. And that's how bad this creative was. Now, for the most part, Ryan North's Fantastic Four has been hit or miss. I would say for the last 6 issues, it's been an enormous miss. I didn't like the Blood Hunt issues at all. There were 2 of those. Then we got this like 2-part particle alien creatures that got blown up, and Johnny got choked by an octopus thing. That wasn't very good. And then we got this one. So it's been a while since we've had a good Fantastic Four issue. And if it keeps up like on this track, I'll just drop it all together because I don't really care that much. But there's been some things about it. But the problem is Ryan North just isn't smart. He thinks he's funny. So they're trying to do like weird family hijinks, like comedy stuff that does work sometimes. But whenever he tries to do something smart, it never works. Like this issue right here. There was another one that was like real Fantastic Four shit. Like the plot itself, I was like, now that's some Fantastic Four storytelling right there. To where they discover a body in Utah, I believe. And it's like a fossil, but there's a material on the female body. And the time of when the bones are from doesn't make sense because there shouldn't have been humans there. And they realize the material is actually a Fantastic Four costume. And the body is female. Thus, they realize that's Sue Storm, but she died like 180 million years ago. And obviously Reed's like, whoa, what's going on here? I need to investigate. And they do travel back in time. And right there, okay, you've got a Fantastic Four story. But Ryan North, not being smart, he's like, Sue, you're coming with me. Really? You're going to travel back in time with the living body of your wife that you just discovered her bones from when she died 180 million years ago? And you're going to bring her back in time. You're a real fucking genius, Reed. Nobody's that stupid. Reed has a hubris problem. He does not have an outright stupidity problem, but unfortunately Ryan North did. And it's just stuff like that where he doesn't understand how to execute high concept sci-fi stuff, which is integral to a really awesome, sustainable, lauded Fantastic Four run, which this is not. It's just kind of okay. It's certainly better than Dan Slott. Was it Mark Waid before that? It's better than that too, but it's not good either. And this is as far as it goes when it comes to hitting the bottom of the barrel. I can't imagine any worse creative from Fantastic Four to happen, even under Ryan North. I definitely want to hear from you guys. Is this a tragic Romeo and Juliet-like love story, or is this xenobestiality and degeneracy front and center, and that's exactly what it is? What side do you take, or are you somewhere in between? Definitely want to hear from you guys, but we got to the bottom of it. Yes, Johnny did, in fact, fuck a centipede. It's really, really weird. If you like this kind of honesty, this no-nonsense, straight-shooting shit when it comes to comic books, and you would like to support Think Critical YouTube, I would really appreciate that. You head on over to Think Critical Patreon. There's a link in the video description, and you get lots of awesome extra stuff if you support us there. Podcasts, extra videos, polls, all that kind of stuff, and that's where it all happens. Hope to see you there soon.